General Hospital spoilers reveal that Jonathan Jackson is exiting GH, now that Lucky Spencer's departure has been confirmed. Lucky will embark on a farewell tour before his final episode, which will run from June 9th to 13th. After Elizabeth Baldwin declined Lucky's marriage proposal, she helped him realize that he would not be content remaining in Port Charles full-time. It's not really Lucky's home anymore, especially since he feels much more comfortable traveling the world and going off on exciting adventures. Although Lucky pitched the idea of Liz tagging along with him, she's got family, friends and a career there in PC. Elizabeth wouldn't be happy joining Lucky any more than he'd be happy sticking around, so the couple's calling it quits. Lucky is almost ready to leave town, so he'll have to say some farewells before he goes. This marks the end of Jonathan Jackson's 9-month stint, which has been disappointing as far as many fans are concerned. Although it was great to see Lucky again, his return overall has been rather dull. It just feels like the show could have found better ways to make the most of Lucky's time in Port Charles, but now it's too late since he's leaving. On the bright side, Lucky could still pop up for visits at some point. There'll always be people who love Lucky waiting in PC, so never say never on his comeback. We were so glad Jonathan was able to reprise the role of Lucky, even if it was for a limited time. GH executive producer Frank Valentini shared in a statement. We wish him nothing but the best, and the door is always open for Jonathan to return. As for Aiden, Lucky is dreading the thought of telling his son that he's leaving once more. Aiden undoubtedly has some abandonment issues because of Lucky's past actions, so it's a sensitive subject. However, Elizabeth hinted about a strategy to help break the news. Since school's out, perhaps Aiden will join Lucky on an extended summer vacation and enjoy a father-son bonding experience. How do you feel about Jonathan Jackson's exit as Lucky Spencer? We'll be sure to bring you updates as more info comes in on Lucky's final episode. General Hospital spoilers say Lucky's loved ones will certainly miss him once he's gone, so stay tuned for reactions from Laura Collins, Lulu Spencer and more. At the Metro Court, Emma gave another death stare to Professor Dalton as she got out of the pool. Gio was there to hand her a towel. He has been promoted from towel guy to lifeguard this summer. Gio shared that besides Emma, the only other person that I can trust is Sunny. Now I'm not even sure about that. Laura and Sunny were meeting at the Metro Court pool at the same time. She offered congratulations for finding out about Gio, and Sunny shared how hard Gio is taking the news. Laura shared that she felt this thing could have huge repercussions. After spotting Sunny and Laura, Gio approached Sunny to ask if he was keeping tabs on him. Then he apologized, commenting that he is on overload. He was introduced to Laura, who thanked him for being such a good friend to Rocco the night of the alcohol poisoning. Before going back to work, he said that he wished he could have done more for who he now realizes is his half-brother. Meanwhile, Professor Dalton sat down to chat with Emma, expressing that he hoped she didn't have any hard feelings about not getting the internship. Emma shifted to a more demure, flirtatious tone, telling him, "You have no idea how jealous I am that Jocelyn gets to work so closely with you." Vaughn watched them from a distance until Brennan called him away. Emma asked Dalton if there was any chance they could meet up sometime to discuss the things talked about in class. He told her his door was always open and to let him know when she wanted to meet. As he left the pool bar area, Emma undid her sarong, letting it fall to the ground, and coyly turned her head to give Dalton a last look. Laura and Sunny continued to discuss Gio and Rocco. She wanted Sunny to remember to keep an eye on Rocco as well, to make sure the boys know they are supported. She felt that if they presented a united front, then it would not seem like the whole family was torn apart. The conversation was ending on a positive note until Ezra Boyle walked up. Doing his best to be a thorn in Mayor Laura Collins' side, Ezra Boyle walked up with his phone to livestream Laura and Sunny meeting together. Boyle increased his disparaging rhetoric of Laura as he continued to approach them. Then suddenly he accidentally was knocked into the pool by Gio, who was carrying a stack of towels. Joe's smile returned for a second as Laura commented to Sunny, "I like this grandson of yours." Meanwhile, Anna had called Brennan to her office to discuss Professor Dalton. She let him know that it was technically a personal matter, but that she was suspicious of Dalton. She informed Brennan that Dalton is a renowned physicist who made a quick exit from Northern Coastal University to PCU after the lab incident, where everyone was made to sign NDAs. She felt that everything was showing the earmarks of someone trying to avoid scrutiny, and that she was onto something. Brennan did not indicate that the WSB had been surveilling Dalton and told Anna that he felt she was acting as more of an overprotective grandmother. After Brennan left, Felicia came to visit. Anna shared her frustration about Brennan's response and asked Felicia to put her PI hat on to give her opinion of the situation. Felicia asked her if she really thought she was onto something or if she was overcompensating because of Robin. Anna understood her point, but she still trusted her instincts. Brennan returned to his WSB office, where he met to debrief Vaughn, whom he had called away from surveilling Dalton at the pool. Brennan was not happy that Anna was getting closer to putting the pieces together to investigate Dalton, and was very worried that she would compromise their whole operation. They needed to derail Anna, but Brennan felt Jocelyn was too green to handle her. Vaughn told him not to worry because he could handle Anna. Lucky surprised the now castless Elizabeth with a romantic meal at the gazebo, and they talked briefly before getting up to dance in the garden. At what Lucky thought was the perfect moment, he took out the ring and proposed to Elizabeth, proclaiming, "I have loved you almost my entire life, since the first day I met you." After a romantic soliloquy, Lucky asked if she would do him the honor of marrying him, but Elizabeth said no. The explosive trial continued at the courthouse. Jocelyn kept her cool on the stand after all. She turned the tables on Rick and testified that, in the ladies' room at the nurses' ball, Willow told her that nothing was more important to her than being with Drew. Willow initially turned to look at Drew with a stunned, worried face, but then in an outburst protested to Jocelyn, "You are taking what I said completely out of context. Tell him the rest." The judge instructed her to sit down and refrain from any further outbursts. Jocelyn then went on to testify that Drew had busted into the ladies' room and threatened her to stay away from Willow, and that Michael would lose his kids. Michael took the stand next. He testified that he loved Willow and had let her adopt Wiley, but she was not as good as she had seemed. He shared with the court that Willow had kept a life-threatening cancer diagnosis from him for months. He brought up Michael being shot in the head by a bullet that was meant for Sonny, as well as being caught in an explosion meant for his father. He used the fact that Michael had sued Sonny for custody of Avery against him, and brought up Claudia Zachra again. When questioning Michael again, Diane brought up that Willow made no effort to contact him, while he was being treated for third-degree burns over 40% of his body. Willow looked confused, realizing that Michael never knew she had come to visit. Diane then dropped the bomb that Willow had signed and filed documents that made Drew the kid's guardian if anything happened to her. Diane followed up by submitting photos of Drew Kane taking body shots off of the sex worker at the bar, capped with a clip from the sex video in the nursery. Nina testified next and presented a different view under Rick's questioning. Nina testified that Michael kept secrets and that Willow was the best mother she had ever seen. She said that Michael didn't really want custody of his children, and was punishing Willow for cheating on him. When Diane cross-examined, she dismissed Nina's opinion as speculation, as she hadn't even talked to Michael since the explosion. Sasha took the stand next and testified to seeing Willow kissing Drew on the 4th of July. Rick quickly questioned about Sasha and Michael's relationship. To her shock, Rick asked her, "When is the last time you and Mr. Corinthos had sex?" Sasha tried to stall, but then Rick asked her about being at the Brown Dog the night the sex tape was revealed. Sasha had to admit that she left the bar with Michael and had sex with him that night. Then declaring, "You are such a disgusting creep," to Rick, she confirmed that Michael is the father of her baby. At Lulu's house, the showdown began with a furious knock on the door from Brooke Lynn. She stormed into the house to let Lulu know exactly how she felt and to ask why she blew her son's life to hell. Lulu responded with, "Let me guess. You're here to take it out on the wicked witch responsible for everything wrong in your life?" Brooke Lynn thought the broom fit, but Lulu didn't agree. Brooke Lynn continued to lash out at Lulu for what she saw as her callous actions. She told Lulu she should never have said anything. Lulu countered, "Is that really what you wanted? To not know that Gio was your son and for him to not know you were his mother?" Brooke Lynn continued to unleash on Lulu, who remained fairly calm but firmly resolved in her point of view. Brooke Lynn told Lulu, "You have always wanted to destroy my life, and you have finally succeeded." Lulu pointed out that at least now she and Gio know they are mother and son, and how that plays out now is up to her. Brooke Lynn told her she's not going to get off that easy, and that if she thinks she can just blow up her life and walk away, she is in for a rude awakening. The world of General Hospital has been rocked by the news that Jonathan Jackson, the beloved actor behind Lucky Spencer, is officially exiting the iconic soap opera. Jackson's portrayal of Lucky, the son of legendary super couple Luke and Laura Spencer, has left an indelible mark on the show's history, making his departure a significant moment for fans and the GH universe. While the exact reasons for his exit remain undisclosed, Jackson's return to the role over the years has always been met with enthusiasm, making this farewell particularly bittersweet. Lucky Spencer was first introduced to General Hospital in 1993, with Jackson taking on the role as a young actor. His natural talent and emotional depth quickly made Lucky a fan favorite, and he became central to some of the show's most memorable storylines. From his teenage years navigating the fallout of his parents' tumultuous relationship to his own romantic entanglements with Elizabeth Weber and later, his struggles with addiction and personal demons, Jackson brought a raw authenticity to the character that resonated deeply with audiences. His performances earned him multiple Daytime Emmy Awards, solidifying his place as one of daytime television's most respected actors. Jackson's initial run on GH lasted nearly a decade before he departed in 1999. However, his connection to the character and the show remained strong, leading to several high-profile returns over the years. He reprised the role in 2009, bringing Lucky back into the fold during a critical period for the Spencer family. His chemistry with co-stars such as Rebecca Herbst and Anthony Geary was as electric as ever, proving that Lucky remained an essential part of Port Charles's fabric. Now, with his latest exit confirmed, fans are left wondering what this means for the future of the Spencer legacy on the show. The circumstances surrounding Lucky's departure this time remain under wraps, but soap operas are no strangers to dramatic exits. Whether Lucky leaves town peacefully, meets an untimely end, or simply fades into the background with the door left open for another return, Jackson's absence will undoubtedly leave a void. Lucky has been a cornerstone of the GH narrative for decades, and his relationships, particularly with Elizabeth, his children and his siblings, have been key emotional drivers for the show. Without Jackson in the role, the dynamics within the Spencer-Weber-Hardy families will inevitably shift, opening new storytelling possibilities while closing a cherished chapter. For longtime viewers, Jackson's portrayal of Lucky has been a constant through years of General Hospital's evolution. His ability to convey vulnerability, strength and complexity made Lucky more than just a legacy character. He became a symbol of resilience and growth. Whether battling personal demons, fighting for love, or stepping up as a father, Jackson's Lucky was always compelling. His departure marks the end of an era, not just for the character but for the show itself, as one of its most enduring actors takes his final bow. As fans process the news, speculation runs rampant about how GH will handle Lucky's exit. Will he ride off into the sunset, leaving behind a legacy for his children to carry forward? Or will his departure be more dramatic, setting the stage for future twists and returns? Soap operas thrive on surprise, and General Hospital has a long history of bringing characters back in unexpected ways. While Jackson may be leaving now, the nature of daytime drama means that no goodbye is ever truly permanent. Jonathan Jackson's contributions to General Hospital cannot be overstated. His portrayal of Lucky Spencer has been a defining element of the show's success, and his presence will be deeply missed. As the GH community bids farewell to yet another iconic figure, one thing remains certain. Lucky Spencer's impact on Port Charles, and on the hearts of fans, will endure long after his exit. The show must go on, and General Hospital will undoubtedly continue to deliver the drama, romance and intrigue that have kept viewers hooked for over 6 decades. But for now, the spotlight is on Jonathan Jackson and the legacy he leaves behind. Whether this is truly the end of Lucky's journey or simply another pause in an ever-evolving story, his time on the canvas has been nothing short of extraordinary. As the news settles, fans are left to reflect on the countless moments Jackson brought to life: Lucky's first love with Elizabeth, his heartbreaking struggles, his triumphs, and his unbreakable bond with his family. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, June 6th, state that Nina Reeves will threaten Drew Kane, while Michael Corinthos explores a custody arrangement. Sasha Corbin will also ask Jason Morgan for a favor, so this is what spectators should expect. Willow Corinthos had just delivered Sasha's baby in court, but paramedics arrived shortly after. On Friday's episode, Sasha will be in the hospital and holding her baby girl when Jason pays her a visit. Jason has already done a lot for Sasha, but now that their masquerade as false fathers is ended, she will ask him for one more favor. Speaking of the false father ruse, Carly Spencer will confront Jason for lying to her and push him to explain his actions as the week ends. Natalia Ramirez will make a phone call on Friday's show to reveal she is in serious jeopardy, since she was recently detained for driving while intoxicated and obstruction. Will Natalia send an SOS to Sonny Corinthos or Jen Sidwell instead? Sidwell already owes Natalia something, so she might be able to rely on him to help her out of this situation. Regardless, Marco Rios will issue a warning to Sidwell soon. It appears like Marco will try to steer Sidwell away from Natalia and all of her drama, but Sidwell may yet come to her rescue. Next, Anna Devane will have a run-in with someone and realize that achieving their aim will require more than mudslinging. We'll see if Anna meets Ezra Boyle or someone else whose signature move is mudslinging. On a lighter note, Molly Lansing Davis and Cody Bell will get the opportunity to get to know each other better courtesy to a Metro Court appearance. Other General Hospital spoilers state that Curtis Ashford will meet with Jordan Ashford, so he may request her assistance in finding Jacinda. Whatever the case, Curtis may have a problem after Kai Taylor overheard his plot to bribe Jacinda to lie. Curtis wants to make it appear that Drew paid for a night with Jacinda and freely took the ketamine, but will Kai turn him in to Drew? Nina will reveal to Drew that Carly was speaking the truth. Nina was indeed behind the drugging scheme, but she warns Willow against spilling the beans and getting arrested. If you do that, we will both lose Willow, Nina says in Friday's GH teaser video. Nina may remind out that Drew clearly framed Tracy Quartermaine, thus Willow will undoubtedly be upset with him if this is revealed. Furthermore, Nina might disclose their previous passionate experiences and ensure Drew loses Willow if he wants to play things that way. Back in the hospital, Sonny will inform Michael that sometimes compromise is the only option. The whole baby incident brought Michael, Sasha, and Willow together in some way, so maybe now is the moment for Willow and Michael to strike an agreement on custody. Drew will undoubtedly be upset by this news, so keep an eye out for any potential conflict with Willow. Nina Reeves has always been a complex character, motivated by love, suffering, and a strong desire to protect those she cares about. Her most recent activities, however, have crossed a hazardous line, as she now threatens Drew Kane in a desperate attempt to obtain custody of her stepson, Wiley. This dramatic argument originates from Michael Corinthos' new custody agreement, which has left Nina feeling deceived and cornered. The tension between these characters has been growing for months, and now with Wiley's future on the line, the stakes are higher than ever. Nina's passion for Wiley is apparent. She has dedicated herself wholeheartedly to her duty as a stepmother since marrying Michael. Wiley represents the family she has always wanted, and the thought of losing him is unbearable. Nina viewed Michael's proposal for shared parenting with Drew as a betrayal. Drew, in her eyes, is an outsider, a damaged man who has no right to take a portion of the child she has raised. Her dread of losing Wiley has clouded her judgment, leading her to take drastic steps to keep him in her life. Drew, on the other hand, has personal motivations for fighting for custody. Drew's lone remaining family member is Wiley, his late brother's son. Drew, who has been misled, imprisoned, and stripped of his identity for years, is determined to restore his small family. He believes Wiley deserves to know his true background, and he will not be deterred by Nina's threats. Drew has fought far worse opponents than Nina, and while he understands her anguish, he will not allow her get in the way of what he believes is right. Michael's agreement was intended to be a peaceful conclusion, avoiding a protracted and bitter legal struggle. He offered a shared custody agreement in which Wiley splits his time between both families, allowing Drew to be a part of his life without uprooting him from his familiar environment. Michael honestly believed that this was the greatest option for everyone, particularly Wiley. But Nina's reaction has thrown everything into disarray. Her inability to accept any plan that includes Drew has put Michael in an impossible situation. He adores his wife, but he also respects Drew's position as Wiley's uncle. Michael is torn between loyalty to Nina and doing what is right, making it difficult for him to maintain peace. Nina's threats to Drew have escalated swiftly. Initially, she attempted to reason with him, appealing to his sense of morality. When that failed, she resorted to intimidation, warning him that she would disclose his prior wrongdoings if he did not back down. Drew is not easily intimidated. He called her bluff, challenging her to do her worst. This further increased Nina's hatred, and she's now digging deeper, looking for any advantage she can use against him. Her desperation has made her reckless, and many around her are beginning to worry about how far she will go. Carly Corinthos, who never stays out of family turmoil, has taken Drew's side in the dispute. She has never truly trusted Nina, and her recent outburst just confirms her doubts. Carly believes Nina is unstable and unfit to have any say over Wiley's upbringing. She's been quietly amassing evidence to use against Nina, preparing for the custody struggle she knows is inevitable. Carly's presence has just added to the tension, as Nina sees her as another enemy attempting to break her family apart. Meanwhile, Wiley's biological mother, Willow Tate, is caught in the middle. She wants the best for her son, but she's split between the two options. She understands Drew's desire to be a part of Wiley's life, but she also recognizes Nina's love for him. Willow has always been a voice of reason, but even she is having trouble coming up with a solution that will satisfy everyone. Her greatest concern is that Wiley will become a pawn in this bitter dispute, caught in a tug-of-war between the adults who pretend to adore him. Nina's history of impulsive behavior makes the situation even more problematic. Her previous actions, motivated by sadness and desperation, have often resulted in unanticipated repercussions. Those closest to her, including her daughter, Sasha Gilmore, and her best friend Ava Jerome, are imploring her to take a step back before she does something she can't undo. But Nina has gone too far, afraid that if she does not fight now, she will lose Wiley forever. Drew, for his part, is attempting to stay calm. He opposes war, but he will not be intimidated into giving up his rights. He is speaking with his lawyers, preparing for a possible legal battle. But he's also reaching out to Michael, seeking to reason with him one-on-one. Drew appreciates Michael as a father and understands how terrible his situation is. He is willing to negotiate, but he will not walk away completely. As the confrontation escalates, Wiley stays blissfully unaware of the storm raging around him. He is happy, healthy, and loved by all of the adults in his life. But for how long? If this custody battle goes heated, Wiley may bear the brunt of the consequences. The court may have to interfere, and no one can predict a judge's decision. Nina's threats have triggered a chain reaction that might change everything. If she heeds her warnings, Drew's reputation could be damaged. But if Drew holds firm, Nina may lose more than custody. She may lose Michael's trust, Willow's respect, and even her place in Wiley's life. The question now is whether she is ready to risk everything to keep him. Michael is the wild card in all of this. He has the authority to either diffuse the issue or intensify it further. If he unconditionally supports Nina, Drew will be forced to fight harder. However, if Michael attempts to intervene, he risks alienating his wife. His decision will have far-reaching consequences for his family, and there are no easy answers. In the end, this dispute is about more than just custody. It's about love, devotion, and how far individuals will go to protect what they value. Nina's feelings for Wiley are genuine, but so are Drew's. Michael's compromise was intended to bridge the gap, but Nina's refusal to accept it has escalated an already tough situation into a full-blown crisis. As tensions build, residents of Port Charles wonder if Nina's threats will convince Drew to back down. Will her desperation drive her to do something unforgivable? One thing is certain. This war is far from over, and the consequences might tear families apart. Gio paid Sonny a call at his residence, curious if he knew. Gio couldn't understand why Sonny would pay for his music and school if he wasn't aware he was his grandchild. Sonny remarked, "I didn't know you were my grandson, but I knew you were special." Gio shared some of his thoughts and fears, and Sonny tried to soothe and reassure him that everything would be well. Despite Sonny's reassurance, Gio remarked that he believed Dante disliked him, and hence Gio was not interested in establishing a relationship with Dante, just because of biology. Sonny showed tolerance and moderation as he described his experiences learning about Dante, but he did not seek to provide Gio with any solutions. Sonny promised Gio, "Anything you need, I'm here." Gio declared that whatever he did next, he would do it alone and for himself, and left for the Quartermaines. Lucky decided it was time to face the truth and admit that Christina had cut the brake lines on Rick's automobile, resulting in the accident. He tried to explain Christina's state of mind and her regrets for her conduct, but it didn't help Elizabeth feel better. Lucky mentioned that Christina was all over the place, to which Elizabeth replied, "Yeah, because she just cut someone's brake lines." When Elizabeth asked why he hadn't turned Christina into the cops, Lucky stated that he believed her imprisonment would do more harm than good, and that he owed Sam a duty for protecting Lulu. After additional discussion, Elizabeth promised to maintain Christina's secret and refused to be held accountable for sending one of Alexis' other daughters to prison. When Elizabeth inquired as to why Lucky chose to give her the truth, the conversation turned amorous. Lucky responded, "If we are going to do this, I can't lie to you. I hope to be worthy of your trust." Elizabeth's mood improved, and she expressed gratitude for the time they had spent together as a family. She was relieved that her cast was finally coming off, but she will regret having that additional time together. Lucky later went to the kitchen, and Elizabeth discovered a ring box on the couch. Christina arrived at Carly's residence to meet Michael before of the custody trial. After a brief catch-up in which Christina hid her truths, they talked about Willow and her changing conduct. Christina warned Michael not to look for the best in Willow, noting that his ex was more obsessed with Drew than she had ever been. It's just like she was with Shiloh. Michael's resolve strengthened throughout their chat. "Willow, she is not a dainty flower. She has agency. She is responsible for her own decisions and she made them. She decided to prioritize Drew. She chose to destroy her family," Michael continued, determined to do whatever it took to get his children away from Willow and Drew. Michael stated that he believed the children were no longer emotionally safe with Willow, and that it was his job to get them out of this circumstance because he was the one who put them there. His talk with Christina concluded on a dark note with Michael proclaiming, "If I don't have any other option, I will break Willow down to nothing to keep my kids away from her." Christina predicted that Willow would meet a Michael Corinthos she had never seen before. In the Quartermaine kitchen, there was a verbal conflict, with Brooke Lynn chastising Lois and Grandma Gloria defending Lois and calling Brooke Lynn out. "That's how it'll be now, Ma. You're going to hide behind Grandma?" Brooke Lynn inquired of Lois. When Gloria told Brooke Lynn that was enough, she said, "Oh please, I'm only getting started." Throughout the confrontation, Gloria and Lois did not appear to be sorry for their decisions. They saw themselves as protectors rather than liars, and they both claimed to have done everything they could to safeguard Gio and Brooke Lynn. "What would you have preferred? That we gave him to strangers and you never saw him again? Would that have been a better option?" Grandma Gloria inquired indignantly. Brooke Lynn snapped, "You can't twist this. You two are acting as though you did nothing wrong." Brooke Lynn said she could forgive being lied to and kept from being Joe's mother, especially at his lowest point when he lost Camila, but she added, "You kept me away from my son when he was all alone, and I will never forgive that." Brooke Lynn accused Gloria and Lois of making assumptions about what was best for her and Gio, saying, "You don't know what life I could have given Gio. What he could have given me." Gloria made one final attempt to avoid confronting the truth by blaming Lulu. Brooke Lynn admitted that Lulu despised her and owed her nothing, but stated that these were family members she should have been able to trust. Just then Gio strolled in. Alexis was completely avoiding the truth when she returned to the Davis and Miller legal offices. Mayor Laura Collins stopped by to ask Alexis why Ace's estate was missing $10 million. Alexis, nervous but quick on her feet, assured Laura that the money was used to diversify Ace's portfolio and put in the Dolos fund. Laura appeared doubtful for a brief while before succumbing to Alexis' fib. Before leaving, Laura simply begged Alexis to keep her updated in the future. Alexis believed she was off the hook for a moment until Marco arrived to discuss the Dolos fund. He told Alexis that it appeared to be a shell firm put up for money laundering and should be investigated for fraud.